This week on Carlie's Couch, we discuss finding yourself. How does one know who they are at the core? I have a great narration voice, by the way.
You do. No, you absolutely
That's
do.
really why you'd be like, oh, or it's really just because of how I spoke. Thank you.
I think I remember hearing you narrate a real
those
estate thing,
joints.
and I was like, damn, don't even sound like you.
3458 Bradmore Drive is a luxurious 4-bedroom.
Yo, it's a skill. It is a skill. So shout out to you.
I wish I could talk slow like that in real life. And like clear, but alas,
here we are.
Here we are.
Before we hop into this week's episode topic, we're going to visit our question from the couch, which is,
yes,
what's your favorite song to ride to right now?
I already know who this is. My dog. My man said I'm a powwow guy. Mm-hmm. Yo, get him on the podcast.
He's coming, bro.
So whenever you get the chance, look up Northern Cree or Young Spirit, Good Medicine. He ain't playing about his stuff.
No, and he had a whole other post today that I was like, went down a rabbit hole after reading. So
I gotta see this guy. I just want to see what he look like. Does he have Instagram?
I showed you before. Yeah, I'll show you again on Facebook.
Oh, I think you did show me.
Did. But I'll show you on Facebook. I'm not sure if he has Instagram. I just know that we're friends on Facebook.
Yeah,
we went to middle school and high school together.
Okay.
Someone said Jungle.
What's that?
I know that there's a group called Jungle, but I don't know if this is like Drake Jungle, which group Jungle.
Nah, you wouldn't have put it Jungle with an exclamation point.
From the person that wrote that, I'm pretty sure it is. I don't think that they have a palette that would extend to other Jungle, but perhaps.
Dang, I hope you're on that listening. She said you got weak taste in music. Okay. The next one says Short Trip, the Mountain Song. Oh, I see what they're saying. If it's a short trip, they're going to listen to the Mountain Song by Top House. If it's a long trip, lots of Incubus. I love Incubus. This is one of my favorite bands.
I like Incubus too. Someone said Bodyguard by Beyonce. So they playing some of that Cowboy Carter.
I have yet to hit play on that. It came out while I was at the silent retreat. And so I guess since I missed the first couple of days, I just hadn't jumped on yet, which I don't know why.
I just had a conversation.
Now that I haven't, I just haven't. But I know I see everybody talk about it the same way as Renaissance. So when I listened to that, I was like in love with the whole thing. So with this one, I'm like, dang, I should listen. I don't know.
Well, you'll listen to it whenever you have some time.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not in the mood for music right now. The last one, this is the same person actually. They were like, also, they said, sneaking in is Wannabe, which is Glorilla and Meg Thee Stallion. Glorilla, Curbin or Curbin.
I was like, 99 problems and the biggest one is me. That's the one. That's the only thing I can hit. That's the only
you ain't right. You see them beefing on Twitter?
No.
The girls? Oh, JT.
Oh, no.
JT and Glorilla beefing on Twitter yesterday.
Oh wait, I take that back. I saw
brother. There's a lot going on.
I saw that Victoria Monet had to fire someone from her team for accidentally liking one of the posts and not trying to be in the beef.
That do be happening. Yeah. I don't know. Stuff is weird because it's like, I don't know. Beef online, it just nobody ever looks good in it. You know.
What is that?
And it just it's kind of unpredictable. Like, people taking your side and being like, why you took it too far, or like, why'd you say this or that? Like, you just don't know. And it's just
the old adage when you see two people arguing, both people look like fools or something like
I think
that.
You said that a couple episodes ago
but
too.
That's like, look, I'm gonna keep bringing these country adages when they ring true.
Yeah, don't nobody look right when it's like back and forth like that. Whatever. But don't beef on Twitter, guys. Yeah. But this week on Carlie's Couch, we're gonna talk about finding yourself, what that even really means. Carlie, what does it sound like to you when people talk about finding themselves?
I would say getting comfortable with who they are, learning who they are outside of societal expectations or who they feel they should be or need to be based on like society on their life, who their parents told them, like, or whatever pretenses they might be holding up in order to feel loved or accepted. So really just getting down to who you are underneath all the BS. But I was kind of inspired about this week's episode because I was having a conversation with one of my clients, and she was just talking about how she's so impressed and amazed that, you know, I live my life in the way that I do, and I'm always ready to adventure and travel and not scared of things and just bravely going after the things that I want or that I want to explore. And it led to a bigger conversation of, you know, a lot of those things that I do were me trying to find out who I am. And so what does that even really look like?
Yeah, and it's so interesting that that's even a concept of having to find yourself. Similarly, actually, in what's the name? In Conversations with God, in that book, and in some of teachings that are similar, like even when we were talking about the silent retreat and like with Yogananda and all them, and it's about like self-realization. So it's almost like it's a very similar verbiage of this importance because of like all of the distraction, all of the things going on in the world. Just remembering, it's like it's not about you have to figure out who you are as much as like remember who you are, finding yourself, like you said, getting to your core. And I think it's so interesting that it's like, why are we here? Because it's like we're born into this life and it's all this BS to have to like uncover all of that and like unlearn, a lot of things to get to the core of it. And it's just, I don't know, it seems so unnecessary and so extra. And yet I'll say for me, for sure, I feel every year, like just in time, like I feel more and more and more myself. And that's why also for me, I am always trying new things, stepping into new things, like different styles of stuff or my hair or whatever, right? Or just like what era I'm in of trying to be more creative or maybe of wellness or of whatever. And it just feels good to do things and realize like what you're good at or realize what makes you feel good or, what makes you actually just feel happy on a regular basis, living a life where everything is aligned with you. So for me, that's kind of what finding yourself is about. It's just like getting back to being able to enjoy your life.
Yeah. And I feel like so many people get caught up in the rat race that they don't really do that. And for me, it's like been the most worthwhile and beautiful journey of my life. Like ever since I think I've always been on that. I've always been this type of person and always been on that hunt. But the more I get to know myself, the better life gets. And that's the exciting part. I feel like this will be a great episode for you in general, for anybody who's trying to find themselves or, continuously growing and healing and just exploring. But also like, if you've had a change in like relationship, where you're maybe, you used to be partnered and maybe you're not anymore. You're used to always considering someone else, or if you've made a big move, if you're kind of like at a different part in your life where everything you're doing is kind of new, this could be a good spot.
Yeah, a lot of people find themselves in a place where they're looking for themselves when there's a big change. So that is 100% huge changes. And we always see when people get out of relationships and they glow up or then they start going to work out and all these things, right? So definitely, if there's something about that makes you want to be like, you know what, let me get back to me. Another thing is for folks, sometimes if you just feel stagnant like day to day, I know right after I graduated from undergrad at Elon, I worked at the school for a couple of years and I knew I wanted to go to grad school, but I wasn't quite sure exactly what I was trying to do. And so I chilled, but it literally just like when the moment came. And all of a sudden I was like, let me talk to old teachers about, this path or that path or schools. She connect me to some guy who was giving me a job at the school I was about to apply to. Cool. Let me look at this. Let me look at that. All of a sudden I was just over it and I was ready to do the next thing. And so it's good to start doing deep dives and seeing like, all right, what do I really want out of my work or what do I really want out of, my day to day, when you really just start feeling like, all right, this is so pointless feeling, or like, I'm not getting anything out of it, or it feels like everything's kind of a drag.
So when you're feeling stagnant, I would also say like maybe you are content with life, but you're also just not feeling fully fulfilled. Like you feel like there's more. And that's kind of mine. Like when I was doing engineering, like I really loved what I did. I loved the people I worked with. I really loved Dallas, like all those things, but I just didn't feel fulfilled. Like I was like, man, I feel like I was created for more. And that was kind of like a catalyst to really push me to continue exploring for myself.
Was that like 2012 for you when you were still in Texas? So that's a time where you really like consciously was like, all right, I need to do something different, or I need to figure out me.
Yeah, because I started noticing that I would be at work and like I was just more irritable. Like I was struggling to get up. Like, and I normally am a person who is excited to greet the day. Like I'm a happy, genuinely like joyful person, and I just like was a little bit resentful. Was like, I just felt stuck, and I was like, this ain't it.
That's real. And then even in times, I think similarly, like when I notice, I just feel more irritable in general. There's something that's not quite aligned up, or something that's not quite right, and then you kind of uncover those things. I think for me, a time I definitely remember most recently, like paying attention and like finding myself was with my work around 2020. like 2019 going into 2020 is like, all right, what am I doing exactly? And I remember feeling so strongly about certain things. Like I care a lot about, social impact or, Black people or this and that community, whatever. And so what I did was I pulled out my whiteboard one day because I was just like, it's just not lining up because like I'm just not enjoying what I'm doing. And I just wrote all the things that I cared about. And then I wrote the things that I do with my work. And actually, I guess what I really did, it was like, oh, I saw where there are connects. So maybe for me, it was more almost of like, okay, this helped me to see a better way to have perspective on my work. Because I'm like, nice. I do get to create community, or I do get to reach particular audiences or engage. Or maybe some of my clients are folks who are having impact. And so it helped me to connect a better why to the work. And then from there, helped me to continue to move intentionally with that space in mind. So like now it's like, okay, well, I focus on this and this and this. And I got more of that because like I kind of cleared up the focus to make it things that I cared about. And so that helped me to get more team together. I remember we did a lot of like spec work and stuff. And during COVID, like we did a lot of filming and just playing around and seeing what we could do. And it was really cool. Like during that time, I think since the 2020 kind of like refreshing and rebranding and looking at things, the team has grown in a lot of ways. So that was where I needed some more clarity with work. And from that moment, like it's continued to get, even more clear and everything official.
I feel like that's probably the first step in finding yourself, like, or finding this next evolution of you, right? Because maybe you found yourself and now maybe you've gotten comfortable and now maybe you feel like you might be a little stagnant or, whatever. And so I feel like really getting clear on what's important to you. So causes that you care about, what are your values on your relationships? Like, are you pouring into all of the things that really matter? And I think that that's a good assessment to kind of start if you're in this place of, this new evolution, this new level, or like finding yourself again.
Yeah. And finding yourself also feels like your life has purpose. And I think sometimes that can be hard when it's so many big things going on in the world or around you, or, you might feel insignificant, or you might not feel like you're able to do everything that you want to do. But to really find a joy in your day to day, and maybe it's not always like happy, joy, like all that, but just feeling connected, like caring. Because I'm sure there's times where it's like I didn't care about anything. Like I didn't care about keeping up with friends or hanging out or talking to them, or I didn't care about finishing work on time. Like, we go through stages sometimes where it's just like, for what? Like, and so finding yourself feels good because that means you're more connected to everything that you're doing.
Yep. I think another one is making sure you're strong in yourself and doing things for you, knowing who you are, like outside of all of your responsibilities. So outside of being a partner, outside of being a mom, outside of being those things, and not to say that those things don't matter, but also you're a whole person, like, and you do all of those things. So like, are you, making sure you're feeling fulfilled outside of the roles that are in your life?
Yeah. And that one's so hard because like we said earlier, that's why it's like when you're outside of those partnerships now, it's easier to refocus on yourself. And there are additional responsibilities and things that come with your relationships with people as they change. And yet, even though it might seem counterintuitive, it's so much better for your relationships to be strong in what you care about, strong in who you are, strong in your hobbies that you go do by yourself or with other people and things of that nature. I have a friend who recently is kind of going through a breakup, and it's interesting, and he's a guy, so it's like interesting seeing it. He's going through the same thing that a lot of us have gone through before and I think he was in this relationship from like high school, and they're grown now, like they're 30s, and they've been together since like high school. And so it's like, imagine also like you never really dated anybody else. Everything's different. Yeah. And I see it being so tough. And for me, I'm like, this is easy. Like, the first thing I said, I was like, you need to find some hobbies, find some things to go do. And then two, one of my biggest pieces of advice in that space is like, focus on your wellness and like looking good, because then you're going to start feeling confident about yourself too. I think that's the biggest thing is like you feel incomplete. You don't feel confident. And yet when we find ourselves, in air quotes, like especially after like a breakup, for example, and we start working out and looking good and feeling good, right? What happens in that we fall right back into like that same space a lot of times with another relationship, or, you know, you kind of start to reprioritize again. Like I don't think I've ever been 100% going into maybe not the going in, but like in a relationship the same way I am 100% single, if that makes sense. Like, just not. There's always some little bit of a little more sleeping in, a little more, you know, falling off with stuff. And I don't know. And yet I know, I'm like, if I could be this and care at this same level being in the relationship, it would be so much better. But
I mean, we're human. And I think that that's a balance, right? But I feel like, at least for me, like I've gotten better. Yeah, it's a lot easier as single, right? Or unpartnered. But like, I get better in every relationship. So like how, you know, it used to be like, oh, it's all about this person. And now it's like, no, I'm a person too. And now it's like, no, I'm prioritizing my things and having boundaries. And so I think, you kind of learn those lessons. But if you're grounded in who you are and what you want out of life and what you need to keep your cup full, I feel like it's a lot easier starting place, partnered or unpartnered.
Yeah. And I feel like that's when you realize like, oh, I don't really know like what I'm into. I don't know who I am by myself.
So if you don't know those things, where would you start?
So like going back to what I had just said about him, I would say get a hobby. And the perks about getting a new hobby, and I do this very frequently when I started tennis, when I started running, when I started pick back up piano lessons, I started doing some art stuff. Like I always am trying to have something to do. Because you get confident as you're learning a new thing. So that's a way to build confidence. 2, because you get to meet new people doing those things, kind of branch out into different relationships with people. Also, it's like, it's a creative use of your time. Like it's not as much of a time suck, like, you know, sitting around the house, maybe watching TV or something. If you're doing a hobby, even if it's not an active hobby, you can be playing World of Warcraft, but like you're out and your brain is doing something too.
Yeah, I was about to say, because you're creating, not consuming. And anytime you're doing that, and I feel like we all need to find a better balance of that in general. But the more you can create, the less you consume, the more you feel better. But you're also not just taking in a bunch of nonsense around you. You're thinking through your ideas. You're bringing your dreams to life. And so you don't feel so drained.
Yes, really think about a hobby or a lesson you can do. And then there's free, like me and Carlie do this American Sign Language. Like, you know, there's things that you can do that are free, and it's just about committing to doing something. And especially if you need to replace time that you may have spent with a partner or something like that, to do a class or something is like, I think that's like my top advice.
Man, so during college, every year I would take a 1-hour course, like from freshman year all the way up. I would take a 1-hour course of some random shit that I wanted to learn how to do.
We had to.
Oh, see, we didn't.
I took the art of playing games. One of my classes.
I did jujitsu. I did ballet one, and because I always wanted to take dance. But my mom couldn't afford it. So when I got to college, I was like, oh, I'm about to use the scholarship money and do it. So I did ballet 1, tested into ballet 2. I did modern dance. I did nutrition. I did weightlifting. I did so many random things. Yeah. But all of that to say, like, there are those same resources, maybe not in like the collegiate realm, even though they do be having free classes online. So search for those first. But like at your local rec center, at your library, especially if you're in LA, they have hella resources and cool shit that you can learn to do for free. So like, don't let money be an excuse. YouTube University is free. Yeah. So don't let money be an excuse, but definitely just exploring. If you ever thought, man, I would really like to learn how to cook this thing, try it. Or I want to learn how to make good, like artsy cocktails. Try it.
That's my friend Kyle now. Like he's become the baker man, because for Easter potluck, he done come in with his lemon bars, and he's like, I made this crust from scratch, and like he in there doing his little confection of sugar on top. I said, oh, you getting serious? He's like, yeah, I like baking. You know, I'm finding that it's actually really therapeutic. I'm enjoying it. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And it's like, you don't even know that you would like something. I mean, obviously we like to eat, but like, it's like, oh, I really like cooking things. And it's interesting also to enjoy something and talk about it, and you feel good, right? So all of it is part of discovering like things that are good for you and ways to relax, ways to do things that, you know, might be different than what you've been trying to do all this time.
I'm going to second something you said earlier that you were talking to your friend about, is health and wellness. Movement is medicine, and it has saved my life so many times in so many different ways. And so just moving your body, not only does it help you like get more clear-headed, but it also helps you be less anxious, less stressed, helps your health improve, and then you feel better, you sleep better. So if you're looking for a starting point, start there. And you don't have to necessarily be a runner, but try different things until you find something that sticks with you in this season.
This is a big one that may seem harder for a lot of people, but completely moving away from where you're from or what you're used to, going somewhere new is always a great way to just also kind of prove to yourself that you are who you are wherever you are, and that you can make it anywhere. You can do something anywhere. I've done this a few times. This is my 7th state that I live in now in California. And
really? Oh, wow.
And when I moved to LA from Virginia, it literally was just, I was like, I mean, A, I had a stalker, and then B, I was like, yeah, that would be cool, like, just to go. And I really remember not having no plan. Like, I don't even know what I was going to do about it for real, but it's fine. And it worked out. And I have, the greatest, like, friend groups here. And this is the longest place I've stayed as an adult. So now I can't even imagine what else I would have been doing or where I could have been. But I've never been afraid to just move somewhere or pick up and just go. So I would challenge you to think about that as well. I know that's very, very scary for a lot of people. So also, like my friend I was talking about earlier, their relationship ended, and this fool moved like 2 blocks away because they were living together. He moved like 2 blocks away, and we were like, think that was kind of safe, huh? He was like, yeah, that was kind of safe, right? And I'm like, dog, you couldn't even get a mile away. But like, and it really just kind of shows me, I'm like, oh, like, it really is difficult for people to change. And yeah, let go, change, just go away, start over. And, I remember too about moving, being like, you know what, now's my opportunity to be more myself. I remember that being part of it too, because in DC it's so much more uptight and businessy. And, I hear it's like, oh, okay, I don't have to like wear my suits as much, or I can, you can play around with just throwing random stuff together and putting something on, or, it just felt like I could get tattoos in places now. Like I knew it was an opportunity for me to go into more discovery. And so I use a lot of opportunities for that.
Yeah, and I feel like it's easier to explore whenever you don't have the weight of everyone's opinion or how you've always been. And if you never move, then you never get to see who you are outside of the confines of that. I actually saw a Facebook post the other day of someone who is from the same city I'm from, went to the same middle school, high school, and he even moved just like a couple hours away. And he's like, man, I feel like a whole new person, like just all these things. And so, just giving yourself that opportunity. I would also encourage you to travel solo. Or travel more. So if you don't travel in general. Traveling, there are so many dividends, and you'll inevitably learn new things about yourself, learn new things about the world that change your perspective, open your mind, and it pours so much back into you. But also traveling by yourself. We did a whole episode, I think it was like 57, about traveling by yourself. And I just got so much confidence and felt so cool that I was so self-sufficient and could do all these things by myself. Like I didn't need anybody there. And then there's also this freedom of, I can wake up and do whatever I want to. I don't have to think about what you feeling today or consider anyone's opinions. I just can explore by myself. And I think that that's so beautiful and such a good opportunity.
Yeah, that's a good one. And this is so cool because all of these recommendations are about challenging yourself to know who you are. And it's like, if you never challenge yourself, I can barely even comprehend that because it sounds so boring. But even just taking like a little day trip somewhere or go to a museum for a day, like, I think also spending the time by yourself and doing things is a good recommendation and challenge for you, because you're challenging, like, what is it like just being in your own head type thing. And that helps you to think about who you are and how you feel about things as well. One other thing I would say is that volunteering, giving back, anything that is being of service to folks is a great way to find yourself and think about what matters to you. I don't, if you're like me, like anytime I see any situation that appears to be less fortunate, and I say appears to be because sometimes you don't never know.
Yeah, that's fair.
But when you see stuff that like appears like to be less fortunate situation, I immediately, it's just like, man, like I'm not only like what I'm thankful for in my life, but thinking about what's important. Sometimes I can be even thankful like that I have empathy on what I'm seeing. Like it's just it helps me to at least know, like, okay, I do care about things. I care about people or want to see certain change or whatever, right? So volunteering, giving back, being of service is really good, because that is your way of action and love and giving to others and giving back to the world, which in general is always going to bless you in some kind of way.
Yeah, I feel like anytime your cup feels a little empty and like you just don't know how to fill it, or you feeling a little bit lost, getting grounded in community, and that is such a big deal. Whenever I used to work as an engineer in Dallas, I used to go volunteer at a dog shelter during my lunch breaks. I would come back smelling like dog. But it really just like, you know, made my heart happy to play with these animals. It was a half kill, half no kill shelter because they didn't have money to keep all of them. And so I would play with all the big dogs because nobody wanted to adopt them. So like at least they had a last good day. But then I also have friends in Houston who started this thing called Breakfast Bros, where they cook and then they go hand out breakfast burritos and socks and jackets and tents and different things to people in their community. So if you see these things every day and you do have empathy, like Lexi said, and you want to actually make a change, it is very accessible however you want to, through another organization, through you starting your own thing, through volunteering at a shelter. Just, you know, try it.
And, you know, the last thing that's important about service and giving is that it's enforcing I have time to do this, and it's enforcing that I have the resources to do this. It's enforcing that I have the means to do this. And so all acts of service and giving to others, whether it's of your time or resources, money, whatever, is an enforcement that you are well and that you are abundant. And so that's always a great reminder.
Oh, and the universe will always give that back. The last thing I could kind of think of when you're trying to find yourself or find yourself in this new elevation, this new level, is to maybe do things. And so maybe you're like, bro, I ain't got money to move, I can't, whatever. But you can do things that you do every day in a new way. So like meaning, okay, so maybe you only go to yoga and that's like your workout. Okay, maybe you join a CrossFit studio in the mornings instead of evenings. Maybe you try a different church. Maybe you volunteer with a new organization. Maybe you don't go to the same bar every week with the same friends. Maybe you figure out a dance class or something else that you do. But thinking about what you can work into your life that is easy, that is something new you can try. That way you can discover new things about yourself. So if you always do the same things, you're always going to get the same results. Try something different.
And something you can do, which is something I do, is I would notice would get random ideas of stuff, and it could be as simple as, man, that'd be cool to make my own sushi, to, man, I wonder if I would ever like do that run with the bulls thing. Like totally different extremes of stuff, right? And what I did was like, you know, I always get random ideas about stuff, like small and large. Let me start a note. So I have a note in my phone that's things to do and try. And when I think of stuff, I just put on there. It could be like camping or take sign language was on there. Like just things will be on there. And then every once in a while when I would feel like, damn, I have a lot of extra time, or like I'm not really, you know, doing extra stuff right now, just look at the list. And you can literally, to Carlie's point, just hop on a Groupon and find something. Or it might be, let me just go grab a canvas and like just start painting some stuff, or what, you know, whatever your thing is. But it's not that hard. And again, I have like boat ride down the Nile. Like I have stuff on there that I'm not about to do tomorrow, but like there's a lot of stuff that I could just do, or like just watch starting with a YouTube video or learning how to do it or whatever. And so it's like, just always think about something to add into your life and jazz it up. Like even recently, like I just, every time I get a thought, I just do it. I was like, dang, maybe I should get an electric toothbrush. I bought it. I was at Kyle's house and I saw that they had the UV light thing that disinfects your toothbrush. So I was like, I should get that. Like, I think about stuff and I'm going to just do it. I don't want to sit on things too long. I want to try different things and try different ways of doing things. And it just makes life so much more interesting. I really feel sad sometimes there's some people I know who they're just their lives are so boring. And then they also kind of like, anytime I'm talking about something like how you said similarly with you going on your trips, and they're like, dang, you really just da-da-da, or, oh, I guess you could go do this, or, yeah, you did that, or da-da. Like, bro, it's not that hard. Like, I don't know, and it's hard for me to be around those people sometimes, because I'm like, you are so limiting, and I think people don't even realize how limiting they can be, and yet, you know, I guess it also is a blessing to have grown up being somebody who likes to explore and has enjoyed learning, right? I think that's one of the best things my parents taught me was a love to learn. Mm-hmm. And so when you like to learn, you know, you want to get in the mix of everything, understand things, and move around and explore and experience. And so the more you do it, the more you look for that as well, and it kind of snowballs in that way. So even if there's something small you can do this week to try, think about ways to find yourself, whether it's meditating, going internal, whether it's putting yourself in a new environment. For a lot of people, you could go across town to the side of town where maybe it's more of a particular race in that area or something. Go to a little Russian restaurant, go to Little Albania, like something random as hell, and just be in the mix, you know, like I learned Albanian at the at my nail shop that I go to now. So it's like, just do something different and just like fully let yourself get immersed.
Yeah, life doesn't have to be boring or stagnant. You are not stuck, and I think that is the beauty of life is you're never stuck.
You are not a tree.
Look,
you can leave.
But every time you feel like, oh man, I wish there was more. There's something you can
there
do,
is.
something you can learn, something you can explore, and I would love.
And call your adventurous friend because you probably have one of those adventurous friends who's always into something.
You know exactly who you thinking about. As soon as she said that, we all have those people. But also, really, I would say I love Lexi's idea, the journal, or make a note in your phone of things you just always wanted to try or are interested in, and then go do that shit. And I would love to hear from y'all at Carlie's Couch on all the platforms. You know, what are some things you want to explore? What's something new that you're doing? Like, how are you finding yourself? And then my last little thought is there's actually a lot of research that whenever you're doing something with your hands, it's almost like a meditation because you can't stress. No, it's like a crochet is what I was trying to, but I don't know how to crochet. She was rolling a J
if you was watching the video.
I don't know how to do that either. But if you're doing things with your hands, then you can't be in your head, meaning you can't be anxious, you can't be stressing, you can't be stuck. And so
probably most of the time we doing stuff all the time.
Which is why also people like crocheting, why knitting is such a good thing, why painting can be so therapeutic, and playing piano and different things. And so, you know, even though seemingly external activities get you to go internal, and can be great stress relievers for your life.
And I have one more kind of thought too as we end, and that is, you know, as we're wrapping up this conversation on finding yourself, thinking about me right now, personally, where I am, I don't want to say like I feel found, but I really feel super myself. Like I just started my lock journey. Like I'm gonna have locks for a long time now. I'm eating different. I feel good.
She running 10 miles a weekend.
I gotta run 14 tomorrow. So like it's like for a lot of reasons. Like even in the way I'm play with my space now and stuff. Like I just feel good, and I feel like I'm not looking for myself. And so I also want to ask you and see, like, how do you feel about where you are now? Do you feel like there's still, you know, some things that you're trying to find, or do you feel okay?
I feel empowered that I will do whatever I need to be to feel okay. Like I don't feel like I'm like looking
we're
for anything.
We're confident in like. Yeah, we know we are figuring it out.
And I think that's the beautiful part. Is like I don't think we'll ever quote unquote figure it out because there's always a thing to unlearn and relearn and heal, blah blah blah, all that. But I think like we feel confident and empowered in the fact that we know
we're on the path.
Yeah, we'll know we're on the path, and that we're doing those things, and that whenever you are chasing your personal legend, the universe will conspire together to help you do it. Shout out to the alchemist. So yeah, I hope that y'all are on y'all's path too, or if not, that you go find it. Because it feels real good to just be confident in knowing that, like, you're going to get there regardless.
It feels good to feel like yourself. So that's the goal. And everything that we're doing, you want to feel like yourself because then you're not trying. It's not a struggle. And that's where everything flows. So wishing that for you this week. Find yourself.
Find yourself.
Peace out.